Board of Supervisors would take a very strong look at this. We need office space. We're ready to rent. I think it would be nice if we were up here without a rental fee, but that's a bridge we can cross later. But anyway, please take a look at that, and please don't put this on the same fast track as the Tiki Hut. We need something done because we really are. We're on a 30-day notice to vacate our space there at the Welcome Center right now, and we need office space for 2 people. One of them, our property manager, does need an office with a door because she does discuss private information with a lot of our residents here. And I'm hoping that the supervisors will take a look at that and keep us in mind whenever you do any shifting of space up here. Thank you very much.
Yeah, before you go, 2 things. The plan, whatever plan you have, I would hope that you would keep that to yourself because that hasn't been shared broadly.
I will.
And there is no grand plan. So whoever told you that is mistaken. There was a quick look, and there are some preliminary things that we can look at, but there has been no decision on any of that.
I understand that.
Whoever shared that with you was speaking out of school, and that's how we get into trouble. So I would ask that you keep that to yourself or even destroy it.
All right.
The other thing I might suggest, Steve, is that as I don't know who's the chair of the POA now, or maybe you haven't had a reorganization meeting?
No, we have not.
Okay.
They won't do that until the annual meeting in December 13th.
Okay, but it really doesn't matter. If one member of the POA or 2 and maybe walk around the place with Steve, it would eliminate a lot of rumors about, well, why don't we just cantilever this room out over the pool and do this and do that? We're in a finite space, and if there's usable space, we're not going to hog it. You know, I remember some years ago when we wanted to move the field manager up here, Tom Jones stood in front of us and said, please don't move her. And we were moving her not in anticipation of anything happening with the golf course. It was just that it was easier for us to have all of the CDD people here together. And Corrine came up here. Well, she never actually did come up here, but kicking and screaming. And she did not want to move from that space down there. We did find space for her here. We have space for Keith. We have space for his assistant. Believe me, we're not trying to hog it all, but to eliminate the rumors and to get this done in an efficient way, I think a representative like yourself and Steve can take a look around here and see what we might be able to do.
I'll be more than happy to.
Okay.
I know that Corrine did not want to come up here, and it was a big help to the office down there because they were just a couple of doors apart.
Right.
To direct people from necessary needs from the CDD back over to the POA.
Okay.
It was very, very convenient.
Believe me, we want to be as cooperative as we possibly
I
can,
understand.
but we're on a really, really tight, we're jammed in, but if we can jam in, if we can add another quart of water to the soup and invite a few more
I'm
people.
just here
we can do
to
it.
ask that you keep that in consideration.
Okay,
Okay?
okay.
Yes, sir.
Steve, you say you're on 30 days notice. Is that from Lennar?
Yes.
Has there been any conversation with Heritage?
None whatsoever. None whatsoever.
I don't know how you can approach that, but if for no other reason, I don't think they have, I've heard nothing that they have any immediate plans. Maybe you buy some time to spend another several months, which will also give us time to see.
We're going to stay there as long as we can because we have our offices set up there. Like I said, we're on a 30-day lease with them there. So
Okay, so it's not 30-day notice.
It's 30-day notice. I'm sorry. Yeah, 30-day notice to vacate the spaces. But the problem is that when you look around the area for available office space, it is incredibly expensive, and the amount of it is dropping dramatically. And now, once the hospital opens up, we think things are going to they're going to decrease even more.
Well, you're paying $600 a month,
500 a month.
$500 a month?
Yes.
So it would seem to me that they're just following proper legal procedure to give the property free and clear of any types of burdens to new owner. And it's just perfunctory, as they would call it.
Now, we understand that.
But is there any contribution made by Castle Group towards the rent?
No,
Okay.
and there shouldn't be. We pay them for their services, not to pay our rent. I mean,
So, Steve, I need some help. You're telling us that you have a 30-day notice you have to be out of there?
no, we're on a 30-day lease.
Okay,
Month
that's,
lease.
Within
okay.
30 days.
Continually.
Continue.
Okay,
That's what I was
yeah.
trying to-
All right,
Yeah, it
so,
sounds like they're doing that as
It's
as
for
a
fun.
part
It's a month to
of-
month.
as a
Right.
part
Yeah,
of
it's
the
for
sale,
fun.
Right.
so that there's no long.
Now that-
Sure.
Now that you've been officially notified that Heritage is going to be taking over the golf club and the Welcome Center, it's kind of cutting it down even more. We have no communications from them if they have any plans for the Welcome Center or not. We don't really know.
The one thing I will tell you is that Lennar has been less than cooperative with us on a variety of issues, including where we can store our maintenance cart, whether we can use this part of their property that we've used since 2003, I believe.
Mhm.
It's become increasingly difficult. I have met with the new general manager of the golf course, and previously I thought I had an in with some of the prior people that held that position. Let me tell you, that we're not playing well in the same sandbox, not at all at this moment.
It's a business for them.
I understand that, but, and I think, as Ernest says, and as Andy says, they're tightening up because they're selling it. And we'll see. Heritage, from what we hear, people who have some familiarity, they want to work well with others, so we'll see.
Well, my wife used to work for PGA Tour, and they sold several other PGA Tour golf clubs around the country to Heritage. And they've been very, very favorable and not only maintaining the courses to PGA standards and everything, but been very cooperative.
Okay,
And they've done a really nice job.
okay.
That's the only thing.
But
Just the one thing, I think we have to say this, that our priority has got to be our own employees first. The River Club employees and our manager and his people. And I'm not saying we can't welcome the POA, but I feel we have a responsibility to our people first, and then the POA second.
But that doesn't preclude
That, I'm not saying,
you coming
you
up
disagree,
here.
Steve?
Well, I disagree in the fact that we're one organization here.
We aren't. We are not one org. We're all paid for by the same people. I pay the same dues you pay,
I know.
et cetera, to both the POA and the CDD. But this board has no control over what the POA does. And it's not our responsibility to do this. I think we should if we can, but we don't have to. That's my feeling. Maybe I'm the only one on the board that feels that way, but if we don't take care of our own employees, then we're not doing our job.
Well,
That's our job, to take care of our employees. And I don't think we're doing that very well right now with the space we have. That's why I brought this up, actually based on what Julie had suggested a couple meetings ago, so that we take a strong look at it, how we're doing it for our people.
Well, I understand that, Mr. McCafferty, but the fact is that as a homeowner, I look at it as one organization, because without the homeowners, the CDD wouldn't be able to function. And I know it's very tough for you guys, but I look at it as a homeowner. When I first got here, it's an alphabet soup.
Oh, absolutely.
On who does what where.
Absolutely.
And I managed the homeowners association for 20 years, and we did it all. I admired you guys have taken a large burden off of what is typically the homeowners association. But the fact is that we need to make this place as comfortable as we can for our residents. We also are in line too to be able to assist your facility here with our new contract that we're in progress of signing with Comcast, where we're going to be able to provide internet and television services up here for this building at no charge as part of our contract negotiations. So we want to be a team player.
Okay.
We want to help.
And I'm not saying we don't.
I don't-
Okay.
I hope you heard that.
Okay, I think there's the perception is.
We're over 3 minutes.
The perception is that we are all one big family and that we should work together. So I think we should make a good faith effort
That's
to
the one
try
that.
to accommodate.
And I agree, but Steve has something else.
I'm curious, who is your board chair now? Is there a board chair?
Tom Jones.
Tom Jones
Okay,
is still
all
the
right.
president,
Okay, that's great.
okay?
Has there ever been a written communication from Tom as the board chair to our board about this matter?
Yes, there has been. I don't know if I can lay my hands on it or not, but it's been years ago. I've been doing
Yeah,
on
see,
the
no,
POA for
all
4
right.
years. and I
well,
know.
the reason I'm asking is, other than a couple of things in the last couple of weeks, I don't recall you ever coming to us and saying you'd like to have space up here. So I'm simply suggesting maybe to more formalize this and really get this thing going, a quick one paragraph from your board to our board chair will at least document the request here so that we don't, because we had one person come to the facilities meeting and talk to us. Now you're coming and talk to us. Why don't we do this the right way? All I'm asking. And I'm more than happy to meet with you and to see what could be possible here.
I appreciate it.
I'll set up that meeting with Steve.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Steve.
Yeah, thank
Rich,
you.
can I provide one fact that's important to the discussion?
No,
Well-
can't.
One fact,
Let him speak.
You
Well,
can't-
let him speak as a,
it's relative to the same, and I'm a POA representative, and I know a fact.
Okay, very quickly, Bill.
That's all it is. Discuss with Lennar, they have no use, no immediate use for the Welcome Center. We have approximately 3 to 6 months to work this issue.
Okay,
So it's not immediate,
okay.
okay? So I want you to know that fact. That's from Lennar to us. Lennar does not want us talking yet to Heritage.
Okay.
POA.
All right, thank you, Bill.
That's why we haven't discussed it.
that
Okay.
helps.
Okay, before we move to the next speaker, we do have a lot of sidebar conversations, and I'm gonna ask that if you'd like to have a conversation, to please exit, because we are recording this meeting and the recorder does pick up, and it's very difficult to transcribe minutes when you have so many conversations at the same time. So please, I ask that you please, silence your phones and avoid sidebar conversations throughout the duration of the meeting. Our next speaker is Jill. Jill's gonna speak twice because she has a statement from Jerry Lewis of 102 Toronto, and she also has her public comment as well.
Good morning. I'm going to do Jerry Lewis's quickly first. Anyway, so Jerry says, I apologize for not being here at the BCDD meeting today as I had a previously scheduled appointment that could not be changed. I understand that Castle Management, currently with offices at the Welcome Center, will be vacating shortly as the golf club and Welcome Center is in the final stages of being sold. I understand there's a review being conducted of office space at the River Club. I strongly urge the CDD board to ensure this review happens quickly and includes the potential to accommodate office space for Castle Management, who supports the River Club, the Venetian Golf and River Club owners. Without accommodation at the River Club, the POA will need to secure rental space off premises at a cost of approximately $42,000 a year. In addition to the incremental rental space, the VGRC homeowners would need to travel outside of the VGRC to meet with Castle Management and perhaps attend POA board meetings. The River Club is a facility and an asset that's owned and financially supported by all VGRC homeowners, and I urge the board to put the needs of the residents first in conducting this office space review. Based on the aforementioned, I'm asking for a motion by the VCDD board supervisors to authorize and allocate space for Castle Management at the River Club. That's
I think all of Jerry's concerns have been previously discussed. And as far as I know, there's been no official review of space in this building. There may have been people who have come up on their own and looked around, but that's about as far as it's gone.
Yeah, well, and so I'm gonna speak in my 3 minutes quickly with two hats. The first is that as chair of the Facilities Advisory Committee, we did discuss, and you wouldn't know this because of sunshine, at our meeting last Monday, that we would take a look, and I've taken that on as the chair of the committee. But nothing, Steve is absolutely right, there's nothing official. I was up here Friday with a resident who has some expertise, and we've been doing some dinging around with floor plans. So now I'm putting on my resident hat, which is, Rick, with all due respect, I think the primary fiduciary responsibility of this board is the residents. It's not the employees. They're not our employees, they're employees of a management company. So my point is, I think the residents, and I think it was Jerry's point, the residents must come first in this. What I understand we may be looking at with respect to office space, I heard that Lakewood Ranch is mentioned. Can you imagine if you're going to be asking residents from here to take a drive up to Lakewood Ranch if they have to get something done? I think it's unreasonable. Second, as somebody who retired fairly recently, within the last 5 years or so, office space has a different concept today, especially post-COVID, than it did, say, 10 years ago. I worked in a space where, I came with my briefcase, my phone, my laptop, and I found a desk to work at. Now, I know that that's not true for a number of people in here. I know, for example, Mary Ann has employee records, and it's very important that there's privacy, be able to meet with people. But equally, I think that we need to have an out-of-the-box, creative set of hats on when we think about how to utilize this space so we can potentially accommodate the situation that we have with the POA. So that's all I wanted to say.
Jill, we're going to take a long, hard look
I know
at
you will.
exactly the issue that's been brought up by Jerry, by you. As Bill has said, it's not an immediate thing. We are going to take a long, hard look at it. You're not being forgotten.
Thank you.
It's something that
And
we
Jill,
will try to solve.
we don't provide office space for residents. We're talking about office space here. I totally understand that both these groups are funded by and are for the residents. All I'm saying is our responsibility to provide office space is for our employees. We don't provide office
I understand,
space
but
for the residents.
ultimately it comes down to
Well, of course it
dollars.
does, because the residents are the ones who are paying for all this.
Yes,
Okay.
we're on the same page,
Oh.
I think. Thanks.
Thank you.
I can see tomorrow's headlines, POA moving to Lakewood Ranch. And that's why I'm so touchy about this, because those kind of rumors don't help us.
Well, you can't believe rumors, but you can repeat them.
Right,
Well, no.
And that's a problem.
you know.
And our
Who's
final
up?
speaker is Todd Meyer.
Hi, Todd Meyer, 102 Valenza Loop. Welcome, Ken.
Hey, Todd.
Thank you. I forgot your name.
Jill.
Rich, your board is here for the public, the people that live here, the 1,400 homes, not for the employees here. I think it's important for you to understand that and the board to understand it and be in line with that. And it's not fun. Okay, let's talk about the River Club. It doesn't make money. It's not gonna make money until it's run like a private restaurant. I'm sorry, the kid gloves have to come off. They don't come off now, they'll come off 3 years from now. Denise needs to do a business plan, like a private restaurant. Make hard choices. Maybe you need to do 40 banquets a year. She's good at doing banquets. She did my wedding. Let's talk about tennis. We bought the tennis courts. We didn't buy the tennis pros, okay? Tennis pros should do a business plan. Maybe there's not enough tennis lessons for tennis pros. Maybe we only need one. Let's talk about space. There's an awful lot of space there. Again, the lights are out. And now the POA board, which is us, everyone here needs offices. Maybe when the tennis people do a business plan, the first line item they'll put is office rent, $36,000. Maybe Denise will put office rent, $36,000. When a restaurant is successful and run right, the manager knows how many managers they need, how much free wine they can give. Maybe happy hour is $15 a drink, not 12. But until that is done, we're never gonna know. Now, my final thing is emails. I wrote you guys a year ago about the emails. Mr. Happer was on a disinformation email, packed again, hurting this community. I wanted to know how he got it. You guys sent me back malarkey, okay? What you have said is just not true. So we have, let's make sure we understand what we did here. 1,400 private individuals put their private information into a private club database. Not once was there a disclosure. There is a law called disclosure without consent. Not once was there a disclosure that said, this will be a public database. Now I find out it's the RFID database. There's nothing on this form that says, when you put your email in here, it will be disclosed. As far as your sheet on privacy, it's not correct, okay? If you email a public entity, what they're telling you is they cannot guarantee that your privacy will be protected. It's very hard to do that. The Freedom of Information Act does not even define if a personal email address is included or discluded. Why? Because, and you look at all the challenges to that, it's Bill Smith that works at the sewer department, uses his personal email address for work. That will be disclosed. Todd Meyer emails the public works system. That will not necessarily be disclosed. It'll be disclosed in a lawsuit, but it's not necessarily handed out. You guys are taking our email addresses that you got without telling us. It's now in an RFID database, and you're emailing it out to the public. You keep blaming Mr. Cohen that that's what the law says. That's not what the law says. First of all, you should charge for the application. Second of all, there should be conditions. If a realtor emails this, wants all our addresses, can't be used for solicitation. We don't let them in the front gate to ring my doorbell, but we let them in my house, okay? It's just not right, and I'm not going away. I told you guys that a year ago. Dusty wrote me back a bunch of malarkey. You can't willy-nilly just decide you're gonna release it. I don't even know what database to go to remove my name.
Okay.
That's the biggest problem. I'm not going away.
Okay, thank you, Todd.
All right.
Andy, I have no idea where Mr. Haffer got his, list of emails.
Well, Mr.,
Not-
do I have any more time?
I just want to get some clarification from our attorney. Is that public knowledge? Isn't it public knowledge? What's the,
If the CDD has a database of emails that is subject to the public records laws, meaning that the majority of them would be public records. There are certain exclusions for police officers and other sensitive type information,
Right.
things along those lines that are outlined in Chapter 119. Absent those specific exclusions, to my knowledge, it is a public record. If someone, whether it's this gentleman or someone else, has something different that they'd like me to review, I'd be glad to take a look at it. But that is my knowledge, and I've spoken with my law partners about it. I've spoken with some other people about it. We are all of the same opinion.
So what you're saying, Andy, is that any resident here could make a request to have all of our emails, and that request would be granted to them.
Yes, with, like I said, there are some limited exceptions, and as with any public record, we are not required to create something in a medium that does not exist. So if they said, let's say that we kept them in a Excel spreadsheet, let's just say, and they said, can you, print me the names of the emails of everybody with the last name C that lives on XYZ Street. We're not required to create them. So we are not required to create a record. But if we have a record that is otherwise subject to Chapter 119, and we receive a request for it, we are required to produce it. If it takes what's called an extensive use of information technology and clerical services, then we can charge for it.
Right.
But likewise, we cannot charge if it doesn't. So if it's pressing a button and we go, yeah, we'll give it to you, but it's $5,000, we can't do that. If it really did take us 5,000 hours to assemble this document that they've requested, similar to all of the things that Belinda has had to jump through with regards to putting together public records for their ongoing litigation. That is requiring extensive use of time and services, and we are allowed and have been charging for those items.
okay,
There being no further public comment, we're gonna close out public comment at this time and move forward with our agenda. The next item on the agenda is the district engineer staff report. Rick?
Yeah, just a few things here. The sidewalk repairs, the ones right out in front of the River Club have been done. I need to check. I had two other places in the community. I'm just gonna verify that those were done as well. Keith did send me an email last week. I need to look at that one to another spot. Typically, I go out and do the community-wide probably in January-ish, so I'll anticipate we're going to see some more of them. So I was notified of low water levels last meeting. After the meeting went out to look, that was in Pond 49, 48, 49, 48. Went out there to look at that, and it was substantially lower than I would have anticipated.
Rich, is that the one by Willow Chase, between us and Willow Chase?
That's the one furthest to the west. That other one between us and Willow Chase is where I walked from there, walked over to there, and saw that was also really, really low. There's the equalizer pipe between those two, but that still baffled me. Why is it so low? Then I started listening. I heard construction. So I started to follow that. I went out the front, across the street. They were pumping to put in their lake. They had previously pumped to put in their lake. They stopped. But right across the street from that back in the pond that we own, pond 38, that was also super low. So I did summarize the email to everybody you could see. And the soils in this vicinity, I've come across this in at least probably four different communities. There's a sandy layer. So when this guy's pumping across the street, that layer, the aquifer, is being pumped down, and our water, which is connected to that, the aquifer, lowers also. When they were pumping on the north side for that APAC, we dealt with that for years for those lakes up there. When our neighbors to the west dug their lake, our western lakes were really, really low. So it's a soil conduit that is all connected. The good thing is they're done. Their lake's filling back up. So if we get some more rains, it could help fill it up. And then we'll just go into the normal winter when the water levels drop. But this was due to their pumping. So I just wanted to make sure everybody's understood that one. I got the email last week about the oil spill in Medici, and so I'm going to head over there. We're ready to do my part of it there too. And the last thing, Keith was requesting me to try to help out with the irrigation, the issues. I do have some plans that I brought. Mike Raichi has got a meeting coming up, and I told him he could borrow them. Those are construction plans. They're not record drawings, so the accuracy may not be the best, but they should be close. So I don't know if with him having the plans could help your guys out.
I hope so. And just to bring you up to date, what's happening there is that Savona Way is having some issues of shells getting into their irrigation systems, and it's not clearing up. And so we're trying to figure out where there's a disconnect someplace, because really we don't have, I'm not hearing it anyplace else on the Venetian. So it's just that section of street. And so we're trying to figure out where that pipe is, and we know that there's a pipe that runs down by the golf course, and it belongs to the golf course. It's been repaired. My guy says he's repaired it 40 times. And so, and they just had a major breach, just about took out the entrance into the golf course there. And that just got repaired. So we don't know if that is somehow connected and allowing all this dirt to come in. And then, so that's what we're trying to figure out right now. And I've got our irrigation guy from LMP going to be at this meeting. Our maintenance guy that knows the golf course irrigation over there well. Maybe Rick can be there as well. Try to figure that out, and then maybe we just have to find where we can flush this whole system one time and see what. But we'll get to the bottom of it. It's just it's not fun for the people on Savona, but you know it's
Just for this other, rest of the supervisor's knowledge, Keith and I have discussed this several times because of a homeowner phone call, and I've had a couple of phone calls with the same homeowner. And it seemed to me, because nobody else, I mean, I don't have problems on Portofino. I don't think anybody else has got problems on Loretta or whatever, wherever you live. We're getting our regular water, but for some reason or another, Savona, one area at least of Savona wasn't getting it. And the homeowner tells me, when I said, what about your filter? And believe me, I'm not an expert in any of this kind of stuff. He said, it fills up with shells, it fills up with shells. It's got to be something that's unique for that area. And Keith has done a lot of looking around and legwork on this. And that area that you describe along the golf course, that's been repaired. If Dan says 40 times, he's probably being conservative with that estimate. But
Now,
we're
I had
working on it.
a diver out 2 weeks ago, and to look at our screens
Right.
and in that area, and they're saying it's, perfect, it looks great. And so, and with the new pumps that we put in, the filtering system that's in those pumps is state of the art. And, we would be alerted if we were getting really anything in those that was clogging them up. So it has to be somewhere between, Veneto and Savona Way. So, and I'm not really sure how the pumps, if the pumps, when they come on, if the pumps are running this way and Savona's at the end, then all that's being pushed to them. But if when the pumps come on, if it goes this way, then Savona is the first.
The way the drawings show is it comes out of the southwest part of the lake. It goes south down Benito, turns the east on in Pissarro, goes over to Savona. So if there is a break in that line, there could be a vacuum that's pulling the dirt in. Typically, you would see it pushing out, but sometimes if it shuts off, there could be the vacuum to pull it back in.
And that's what happens with when they built this, my understanding is that when they built the systems, it was to keep from freezing. So that's why the water drains completely out of the lines, and it takes probably 10 minutes for them to fill up. So it does create that sucking back in. But Dan's saying that pipe that runs down there is not connected with us, because when our pumps are on, nothing's happening. When the golf course pumps are on, that line fills up. There's got to be something in that area. That pipe's got to be flowing back into it or something. So we'll
Continue to work on it. Okay, thank you.
Fortunately, we don't have record drawings, so hopefully they build it close to what those would say. And that's all I had, unless anybody's got anything.
Any word from the city on our hearings in front of the planning commission?
Not yet. I did get a document that Rich had to sign. Denise is going to notarize it. I do have all the landscape plans, so we're
Moving along. Okay,
we're getting closer.
okay, thank you.
Question, this is the last meeting of the meeting before, you were reporting on a resident's issue with pond erosion, his land along the pond erosion. And just in commenting, you made a statement that stuck with me, and I just want clarification, because maybe I just didn't hear it right. That part of the potential problem was when he drained water from his pool into the pond. We allow residents to drain water from their pools into our pond.
I don't know if anybody ever asks anybody. I think there are a lot of times, because that was the one hose that I saw was one that rolled out. I did see others that they have installed permanent, and So I don't know how they get,
It just struck me that the pools are full of chemicals and all of that. And
and it's very obvious.
we have enough
when I
issues with our ponds.
To see that, we're reporting quite a few of those to keep, that they're very obvious. When you see a very dead spot, it's pretty easy to figure out why.
Have we ever notified residents that that's not legal, or maybe it is legal?
I think once we know it, we let them know that, but how many others are out there?
It's in the back of people's houses, so I didn't see it.
And that's the only issue about, because it's private being done. Now, if it's going into our ponds, that's, our issue. But, POA would also need to be notified, let them know that they can't be doing that. And that's like telling people to use the stop signs here.
Rick,
No, I appreciate that.
we're going to be talking about the Tiki Bar furnishings. Do we have to get a permit from the city to do this project?
It's only gonna be a building permit.
Okay, is that a long involved process like some of these other permits?
I think what you're getting at, do we have to go to a hearing?
Right, and all that?
We do not.
Okay.
And you clarified that
Yes.
with them, and they said only the permits.
Okay.
Only
I
building.
thought while we had Rick here, I would ask the question,
Yep, you're
so
right.
we don't stumble over that when we get to that.
We
Okay.
think we're fine in terms of no hearing, only permits through the different departments.
I sent the drawings that we had to the planning, and they come back in writing and said, no, you don't need it. You need the full blown building permit is all. So that's just done at staff level.
Thank you.
And I'm assuming the permits are a plumbing permit and an electrical permit.
More than likely.
Yeah.
Since there's no roof.
Right.
With really no.
And that's basically because we're not changing the footprint.
Correct.
Okay. Thank you.
Any other questions for Rick?
Thanks, Rick.
Okay, moving forward. The next item on the agenda, supervisors, is item number 5A, which is the consideration of resolution 2022-01, redesignating officers of the district. This is behind tab number 1.
So, board members, we've been through this before, but anytime that you have a new composition of your board, 190 requires you to examine your officer structure. You can leave things as is, you can make changes if you'd like, but we are required to at least have a discussion to address it. And that's why it's on your agenda.
I have a motion. Then, in response to that, or I move to nominate Richard Rocco as the chair.
I'll second that motion.
Any other nominations for chair?
Discussion?
Which one's Bracco?
I thought you just said we can leave things as they are.
Yeah.
So,
So rather than, right now we're doing it piecemeal, but
Yeah.
if you'd like to,
Okay, I'll
you want to
rephrase the
make your
question.
motion to leave everything
Yeah.
as is and
Well-
make Mr. Smaha assistant secretary, we can do
Yes.
that.
Okay, I so move.
second.
Any discussion?
Well, you should point out who the officers are so that everybody knows.
So, the motion, is to keep the officers as they are, which would be Richard Bracco as chairman, Steve Kleinglass as vice chair. All of the other supervisors would serve as assistant secretaries along with myself and Melissa Dobbins from Rosetta as assistant secretaries. So there's a motion by Ernest, seconded by Ken. Any further discussion? All those in favor, please state aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Congratulations, Ken.
The next item
You lucky
on the
devils, you.
agenda
Two officers.
Big pay.
is item number 5B, which is the discussion and consideration of proposals for the Tiki Bar. This is behind tab number 2. Mr.
All right,
Kleinglass?
I'll try to make it brief. Unless you've heard more, we're still struggling with getting contractors that want to bid on this. We've gone out to a number of them. On Friday or over the weekend, Belinda sent me another package of Belinda approved sanctioned contractors that you know of.
I know of a few that are on that list. I can highlight which ones they are. I know you asked me specific for, general contractors that I've worked with that have done something similar.
Right.
I do not. I reached out and looked into our buy system to see if any of the other district managers had any recommendations, and I didn't find any contractor that would work in this area. I think right now there's an issue with supply and demand on the contractor side.
Right.
A lot of contractors are small firms are having issues with COVID and working with employees, so projects are not turning out the way that they want, and a lot of them are behind.
Okay.
At first I thought you should possibly reach out to some of the general contractors that are listed on that list, because you might have a better result with a general contractor versus a smaller firm that is just probably one or two individuals that work.
Rudy, did you have any success with general contractors from your end and knowledge?
Yeah, I echo exactly what Belinda is saying. It's a real tough environment right now, trying to source those professionals. But we're still working on it. There's one person that should be getting in touch with me within a couple of days or so.
Okay. And for the board's benefit, I went back to Absolute Aluminum because I thought we had a quasi relationship with them. Spoke to them about the plans we have, and this is not the type of work they do. They're more into enclosures, so they're out.
Chris said he is at the finishing stages. He might want to come by one more time because he's got a new partner that they're going to look at. So they are looking at it.
Okay, so that's promising. The other thing, we did get another quote on the equipment. I'm really surprised to see the quote because it's much lower than the other quote we have. We haven't married it up yet, but at least we know we're in a good ballpark with the equipment portion of it. So
Who's that from? From Fishman again?
No, it was from Rudy's,
Okay.
Rudy's source. They came back to us.
Good.
Yeah.
We were at 50,000, right?
Yeah, where this quote, if it's legit, is less than that. So, but we want to make sure that it's apples for apples.
Right.
And I did look at it, and there's an issue with installation where Fishman's going to install. So we'll look through it, but at least we're staying steady with the equipment portion of it, which is a good thing. So the next steps are, the facilities committee met. There's a couple of things that we want to tweak in the plans. It doesn't change anything, just a couple of suggestions. We'll see what this fellow tells us, and then we'll come back to you and say, here's where we are with money. Can we go?
Okay. Hospital is open now.
Get us a contract. Get us, well,
That would be good if someone gets hurt doing the project.
yeah,
They might have some contractors for it.
yeah, they may have a contractor for us.
Yes. Yeah.
Yes,
I just one observation on the Fishman proposal.
yes.
I would check where they're ordering two of things. It says two each. Items K07 and K17 look to be the same. Glass rack. It's only $800.
Yeah. Well, before we tell them go, we're gonna go back again with them and walk through it and make sure we're all right. They're anxious to go.
Twice.
Yeah. And they also put tax on there. We don't pay tax. So that's.
And did I see an ice cream dipping station?
Yeah.
Yes,
A little
yes,
freezer.
yes.
Get excited.
McDonald's dropped that, but we're picking it up. Is that? Okay.
So that's what I can report.
But we're not voting on this today because we're.
No,
that's the other bit, yeah.
I'd feel better if we get Chris's
Great.
quote. I'm curious what Rudy's gonna tell us. Now that we have Belinda's, some recommendations at least, we'll send the plans out to them and ask them to take a look at it. I think we've been turned down by 4 or 5 contractors so far. You know, it's kind of a nuisance job.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you, Steve.
Yeah, you will.
Okay, moving forward, the next item on the agenda is item number 5C, which is the review of the Stuart Washmuth Solar's opinion of probable cost for the Benito Boulevard landscaping. This is hearing tab number 3. Mr. McCafferty.
Oh, lucky me. First of all, I hope you all noticed that we had, we timed this so that the sodding was completed before the first rain in the last month. So I think we ought to get some good credit for that.
Well done.
Yeah, right. That's about the only good news. The Landscape Committee did not meet in November due to lack of quorum, our continuing issue with having a quorum. Last week, I did meet with the members of the Landscape Committee who were available, and we discussed possible changes to the revised plans for the roundabout in Veneto. So I've separated the two things. I also met with Bill Gipp from LMP and Chris, the branch manager, but he's also an irrigation expert. And I think, as you've heard me say before here, I personally am scared to death about the irrigation costs that may go along with this. I'll refer to it as the SWS plan, the Stuart Washman plan, has no irrigation. So anything we do is going to be impacted by the irrigation costs. Our major concerns, we're trying to get more color on Veneto and in the roundabout, irrigation for the new plants and trees, long-term maintenance costs, and that's a biggie, long-term maintenance. What we might have to do the next time we do an RFP on landscaping if we go with the SWS plan. So what I did is I broke it down. Can we look at the roundabout first, gentlemen?
Okay. Looking at it from the plan, or?
Well, yeah, you may have to probably do both.
Okay.
Does Andy need one?
Oh,
Any extra?
sorry, this is Veneto. Let's do that first. What's the difference?
Do you have one more, Vic, or no?
No, I don't think I have one more.
Or here?
Yes, I do. No, that's mine.
No worries.
Okay. The way I broke this down into two options. Option one is using the SWS plan and making some recommended changes. Most of the changes came from the discussion with LMP. They were very concerned about the number of grasses that are in the plan, these Satchahatchee grasses, I believe that's how you pronounce it. They get about this tall. They need to be pruned almost every month or at least every other month. So it's an ongoing maintenance issue. They were also concerned with the Mule Grass, which it looks beautiful right now. That's that pink Mule Grass. It blooms in October, but the rest of the year are kind of that was probably the two major things. Also with the jasmine, the architect had 564 jasmine plans. Look, excuse me, I've got the roundabout. He has a lot of jasmine in both plans. We've had bad luck with jasmine when we tried to plant it around the monuments. Either the deer or the rabbits ate it all. The jasmine by the guardhouse has done well, and we don't know if that's because there's enough traffic going on there that the rabbits and deer just don't go into that area. So we were very concerned about putting jasmine in the roundabout or putting it on Veneto because at night here, as you all know, we're covered with deer. One day coming home from Richie's house, I saw 7 deer in the roundabout having, I guess, a late dinner. So on the Veneto project, basically what we're suggesting, or I'm suggesting, because the committee really hasn't seen this, sodding a couple of the beds next to the hole number 9. There's really no reason to plant them. There's a big bed along the east side that basically borders the golf course parking lot. There was no juniper. There was nothing to be removed there, so that shouldn't be in the planting plan. The architect put it in the plan, so it's just something that would be taken out, which would reduce all the numbers. There's a couple other small areas, L1 and O2, where the cart path meets the sidewalk. It's really a goofy area. And then the other recommendations are changes in plants, basically.
So this is we're talking along Veneto. We're not talking about the triangle.
No, the triangle and the roundabout are separate.
Separate. Yeah. Okay. The work that's been done, the sod that's been put in, are they maintaining a 15-foot diameter?
They were supposed to. It hasn't been done yet.
It hasn't been done. Is it going to be cut out?
Bill?
Most of them are close. They're in the 12-foot range. It was subcontracted out, so there was a little bit of miscommunication, but yes, they will be consistent throughout.
Yeah, that needs to be done before the mulch comes in.
Yeah.
You're talking around the Oaks.
Around the
Yeah,
oaks.
on the west side.
Yeah.
Right.
On the west side.
All right, so that'll be, you'll shape that up, it'll be consistent
Right.
all the way down, so that we have one look.
Yes.
So I guess, the question is how do you want to proceed with this? We can send it back to the committee. The committee won't meet until December. That means it won't get back to any recommendations that the committee makes will come to you the second week in December. And then we would send it to the landscape architect to get his revised plan. And then we need to send it out for bid. So we wouldn't be doing any plantings on the east side until probably January.
When would we know what specimens are going to be changed?
Sorry. Sorry. Sorry.
What's your preference?
I would like to see us move. I hate to have the whole east side barren as it is right now during December and January. But then the flip side of it, if we want to do it, let's do it right. It's a tough call. I mean, we started this project in August with the removal because we wanted to get that in the previous fiscal year, which we did. That worked out well. But, we move at a snail's pace, but sometimes that's good, sometimes it's bad.
You didn't have a quorum, so you had a workshop.
No, well, I met with the two committee members who were here.
You met with, okay.
Yeah.
You met with them separately? Or
Individually. No, I didn't meet with them together.
You could have.
Oh, my God.
You could have. You could have a workshop that way.
Well, actually, they weren't here at the same time anyway.
No problem. I met with them separately. That works.
Okay.
And they had an opportunity to take a look at the plan, and can you tell us the general feeling that you were getting?
I met with Debbie. She didn't see this because I developed this after I met with her.
Right.
I met with Harry Wallman. He thought it was he's the one who was previously in the landscape business up north. He thought it was a very good idea.
Okay.
I met with Julia, who wasn't here, but who now is here. And she and I went over it, and she mixed emotions about it, I would say. Probably more negative than positive.
Okay.
So, that's honest.
Rich, I realize I'm new to this and I
Yeah,
haven't.
so am I.
Well, I don't have a copy of the plan, which I'd like to get.
Keith can get that for you?
Yeah.
And you need a magnifying glass.
Yeah, that's. But since everything's been taken out, just writing down Benito now, I just love the appearance of it.
We get more positive comments about that than anything.
So I hope whatever we're putting in is low-lying in those areas.
Yeah, the architect's plan is, when you really look at it, he pretty much concentrated where crosswalks and intersections. This is on the east side. That's where most of his vegetation is, and most of it is low. He's used a lot of this Scatchahatchee grass and muley grass, and because the Scatchahatchee grass grows so thick and tall, LMP was concerned that it would actually be encroaching on the sidewalks the way it's pictured here.
Yeah. Well, I'm kind of in the school of less is more.
And that's the other thing that we try to do is less is more. The architect dropped the number of plants down significantly, but there's still an awful lot of plants. And the Veneto plants, I think I got this correct from Chris and Bill, probably not a lot of irrigation changes because the irrigation is already in place. When we get to the roundabout, significant irrigation needs because of the change from what was there to what he's proposing. That's why I broke the thing into two different things.
Do you have well, I see Julia's here, I see that Debbie is here, and you mentioned a gentleman,
Harry Wallman.
Are here, right? They're here now?
In the community, yes.
And so if you called a special meeting prior to your December meeting, you would have a quorum?
Yes, I think.
I'm going to suggest that you do exactly that.
How long does that take to do that?
10 days.
Pardon me?
10 days.
10 days.
I'm going to suggest that you do that. My opinion as one person on this board, as I've said before, I'd like to have the committee, and I know it's tough. I'd like to have the committee take a look at this, and I'd like to get their thoughts on it. Not kicking this can down the road, but I don't want to get into a situation where we've bypassed the committee that can be very, very useful. So I'm going to suggest not a special meeting, but just set a meeting. And as Andy says, 10 days down the road, you'll have your quorum, and that way we can move on it a little bit quicker. What do you think?
While you're contemplating that, can I ask you some other questions?
Sure. I'm just thinking, 10 days from now is the 18th. We'll meet again on the 22nd.
Yeah.
Okay. As long as it's in a budget item on the 22nd, it's fine.
Yeah, we're meeting on the 22nd. We can do that.
It's still, just realize, and I'm not saying, 10 days isn't going to make that big a difference, but it probably will be January before anything gets planted. By the time we go through the bidding process.
Yeah.
Yeah, because this hasn't been out to bid to anybody.
Right.
LNP saw it because it was in the agenda packet, so, they were, that made it public knowledge. Go ahead, Steve.
So a couple of questions.
Sure.
What you did,
Right.
does that impact these plans very much?
Yes.
Okay, and is it gonna look funny? I mean, we've got one side of the main boulevard with just grass.
Right.
Now we're gonna have plantings on the other side. Is it
Yes.
gonna look off balance?
I think so.
Okay, so having said that, why don't we just grass the other side like we've done?
Oh,
or something like that.
Yeah. There is.
And I don't know the answer.
Yeah,
but I'm
well,
asking.
I had suggested sodding, the very first thing on what I suggested is those are beds that are between the sidewalk and hole number 9, and they're on the west side. So that would be consistent with the rest of the west side being sodded.
Okay.
Personally, I'd like to see more sod. We get into a problem with Florida friendly with sod,
Right.
but if we don't change the irrigation from what it is, then we're not using any more water. The key to Florida friendly is water usage.
Right.
And so we could do that.
What did we spend with what we did on the sod already? About how much did we spend?
$13,000.
$13,000. And this is.
Well, that's,
About.
that doesn't include the removal, because the removal was in last year's. Yeah, I believe it was 13.
All right, but the removal was gonna have to happen anyway.
Yeah, right.
So about 13,000. Now we're talking about spending 75,000?
Yeah.
Why would we?
That's down from 100, that was down from 200, remember?
Well,
Yeah, we're working our way down.
But aren't we getting back into another plantings that we really don't need? I mean, I'm asking.
I feel that way, yes.
So could we ask the committee to
Certainly
take a
can.
look at that?
Yeah. And I can, yeah, sure. I'd be happy to do that.
All the messages that I've been getting, everybody loves the grass. It looks great. You see the vistas.
Yeah.
Why off? I guess I'm struggling. Why are we gonna?
I think the third island is a good example of the architect's vision.
The third island.
The third island.
After the guardhouse.
The one
After.
The one where we left up the ligustrum trees, where it's got a lot of plants in
A lot of
it.
stuff in it.
Folks, it's much different than the first two islands.
So in the final comment, then I'll yield back, is it seems to me that I'd rather see us spend money and really do a bang-up job on the circle out here. I mean, that's really the focal point when you come up Veneto.
And I've got a proposal for that too.
So I'll stop with that.
Well, that and that triangle,
Yeah.
In order to meet on the 18th, we have to run the ad today, so I just sent Carrie a message to prepare the ad, but I needed time.
It would be 11 o'clock. That's when they traditionally, it would be the first, well.
Put that on his bill.
What's 10 days from now? I don't
It
even.
costs money to run this meeting.
Can we go any earlier than that? Because I won't be able to do that.
No, we
All
don't
right,
have-
if Debbie can't do it, we don't have a
we don't
quorum.
have a quorum.
I have to go.
I just checked the
earlier.
calendar to see if we have, this room is not available, but possibly the bar is, or you could even meet in the tennis pro shop. There are tables in there. So it is available in the morning. There's a reserve committee that afternoon.
I can do it at 9. If you guys.
Oh, I don't care.
The reserve is on
We got two.
Monday.
Can you do it at 9 on
I don't know why I
on the
have reserve
18th?
on here for the 18th.
No,
I
it's
don't know
not.
if
It's
next-
not. It's
You or
it's the Monday.
Harry or Joe, there's a men's member on the 17th and 18th.
I don't play golf anymore.
It's the 15th is the reserve
Julia,
committee.
can you do it on the 9th, at 9 AM?
Yeah, it's no sense in-
18th?
Yeah.
Yeah, we're gonna schedule this meeting and I'm not gonna have a quorum.
Well, that's what, because it's
Yeah,
gonna
I hear
cost
you.
money.
Julia can, Debbie can.
I'm assuming Harry can, I can. I'll make it happen.
So you only need one more.
So 9 AM.
Pardon me?
9 AM.
9 a.m.
What about Joe?
What about Joe Splin?
I don't
Will he be
know.
back?
Well,
I don't know.
can we at least,
Could one of you step out and call Joe and see if he can make it? Did you know what I said? Well, we've been down this road where we try to get a meeting and we don't get a quorum. And-
Yep.
And how much does it cost to post this?
Yes, 18. $100 at least. Why don't we take a 10-minute break?
Okay, and maybe we can get something done during that.
Well,
10
before we
minutes.
do, let me just give you Benito and you can look at that and then I'll talk about this briefly. We're not gonna do anything today, but I want you to see this anyway. Okay?
Yeah, that's, sorry, guys.
Yeah.
Chris with LMB, branch manager, Sarasota.
Chris.
Some of you guys don't know me. As he alluded to, we did have some time to review the plan. So if you did have some questions for us in regards to the irrigation cost or the plan that the architect provided, please, we'd be more than willing to answer those. And I think it is asked that maybe we attend the meeting.
That would be great.
Provide any
Oh,
sort of
yeah.
opinions.
Sure, that would be great.
I sent a list to Rick of non-deer eating tolerant, colorful plants. Can I send them to Keith and he can send them to LMB?
Yes.
Sure. We're taking a 10-minute break, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Just,
we should.
okay. And then I'll talk about this a little bit.
Okay.
Because this is the one that really scares me.
Okay, so we're gonna go off the record at 10:46 AM.
Once we turn on the recorder,
Okay, we are back on the record at 10:58 a.m. Okay, Rick.
I just want to go over the roundabout briefly. And then, since we're going to take this back to the committee, my suggestion might be that you give me what I've just given you, and I'll give that to the committee, and we'll dissect what I have here, rather than reinvent this, if that makes sense to you guys. All right, but with the roundabout, that was the one where I went with two options. One was the SWS plan with some changes. The biggest was putting in emerald blanket instead of jasmine, and there's a picture behind it about that. Irises instead of the Mule Grass, another kind of iris instead of the Fakahatchee grass, copper leaf instead of the buttonwood, and then the big one would be a royal poinsettia tree in the middle, as opposed to the oak tree that the architect had provided. The estimated cost, in talking to LMP, they said that the estimate costs that the architect has given us are significantly lower than what it's going to really be. So that's why I put $28,270, which was his estimate, up to about $35,000. Now it could be less because if we were to do this, there'd be a lot less plants. He has over 1,000 plants in that island. Okay. The mulch is done by others. The big thing with the SWS plan in the island, or the roundabout, is about 25,000 in new irrigation. And that's, Chris really took time to speak with me and about just how much has to be done to have a ribbon of grass, a 20-foot grass outside that needs one kind of irrigation, and then all these plants and a tree in the middle that need another kind of irrigation. If we've got the money for it, we can go for it. Option two was the option that LMP provided to us in August. It's the last 2 pages of what I gave you. It's the bid, which would change because he has a silver leaf palm in the middle, as opposed to a poinsettia tree.
Is that
And
is that the picture of it on the last page?
yes, that's that's a rendering, if you will.
Right.
So that's probably similar to the 2 entrance islands, if you want to get a visual of it.
Mhm.
So, but the key there, at least as I saw it, is no additional irrigation costs. Some minor costs to get water to the tree, but other than that, nothing.
They get this big?
Yeah.
That would be beautiful.
Yeah.
But
Now,
And it's interesting, that tree was recommended before we even went with LMP, or went with the SWS by Truman Hennard. He suggested that to me. I think I showed you that tree before.
Your comment here, option one talks about significant long-term maintenance costs.
Yes, because
Option two-
mainly because of the grasses that he has. Now, if we were to change out the grasses for irises or whatever, there should be a significantly less long. They estimated, and it was just an estimate, of maybe about $70,000 additional the next time we do an RFP. That, whether that's a fact, it's a projection, but it's something that this board needs to consider when we do these plantings.
But option two says no.
It's basically none, no. Because it's basically what's there now.
Now, this is the roundabout.
You will.
This is the roundabout, but it doesn't speak to that triangle.
Yeah, they also had a suggestion for the triangle with some irises. Polta. Yeah, I've got it in my plan. So they included a little bit on the triangle, but not much.
But no.
Initially, the architect had a palm in the middle of the island, and in cost savings, that was one of the things we asked him to remove, and he did. So he has nothing, and he has blew my mind plants where there's some little green bushes right now.
I think that unless there's something stately in there, it's really not going to have any punch at all.
Well, the triangle, or the island?
The triangle. It needs something in the middle, and maybe something as simple.
Well, your focus.
You mean the triangle or the roundabout?
The triangle. the roundabout, there's a lot of stuff, but the triangle doesn't have any,
It's a nothing.
major plant in the center.
No, it is, it's a nothing.
Chris?
If I may as well, that's the same thing that we saw, even just removing the jasmine and putting in blue days, yes, you are adding a little bit of color, but it gives you no definition in attempt to, or before you get to the larger island.
Right.
So with that being said, what we did is expand the edges of the bed slightly, including the tip of the island, to include some large false agaves, which we have a picture of, which will provide some white to contrast the blue, which will also contrast the green, without going over and above and installing a palm. That will cost you $10,000 to include additional maintenance as well. And it will limit the amount of irrigation adjustments that are needed going forward with that.
Well, we'll see what the committee says when they get
This
a
is what
chance to
he's talking
look
about.
at it.
We have those at the entrance.
Right.
Yeah.
They're a false tip, so that's fine. Doesn't harm anybody, but it does provide you a tremendous amount of color. And again, at a very limited maintenance.
Yeah. And again, that wasn't something I asked them to do, they did on their own, so.
Okay.
So, just, I'll take all this back, and to the landscape committee I go. Okay?
All right, well, I would like to see something in that triangular area that is
But see,
not massive, but something.
that's you,
Otherwise, yeah.
that's you.
So
See, that's the issue
that's my
here.
suggestion I would like you to bring back to the committee. To,
They hear you, I can't,
Okay, I know they
cannot
do.
not do it.
I know they do. Okay.
All right, thanks, guys.
Thank you, Rick.
Thank you.
So, just so you know, Carrie submitted the ad 9 o'clock on the 18th.
Okay.
So moving forward, supervisors, the next.
Can I have your
item on the
copies, and then I
agenda
can give them to the committee when we meet?
These?
Take mine.
Thank you.
Is item number 4D, which is the consideration of the resignation
I already talked to him.
of Pamela Fox from the Rapid Sports Advisory Committee and consideration of a.
Thanks, guys.
Advisory Committee member. Supervisor Booker?
Okay, at our most recent Racket Sports Committee, Pam Fox tendered her resignation, which we have to formally accept at this meeting. It's my intent that I do not wish to recommend a replacement at this time due to the uncertainty as to what is going to happen before the city. So once there's finality there and the city makes a decision as to our application before the planning commission as well as city council if necessary, then I think it would be proper timing for me at that time, if we're successful, to recommend a replacement. But if it doesn't move in a positive manner before the city, then I don't see the necessity of having another member. Specifically, that person is usually designated for pickleball. I expanded, if you recall, the committee from 5 to 7 to accommodate those members that wish to represent the pickleball interest in the community.
So what you're saying is you want to keep it at 6 for right now?
6
until
right now, there may come a time
Until we see what's
going on.
You may go up, you may go down.
That's right. I think that's the prudent approach at this time.
The only problem you run into with an even number is, the obvious
We're not-
voting.
Yeah, we're not going to have any issues.
You're the boss.
It's advisory.
I'm fine with that.
Oh, I thought that was his, those are yours for his.
Okay, so I move that we accept the resignation of Pam Fox from the Rackets Sports Advisory Committee.
Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Any further discussion?
We'll just thank Pam for her service on the committee over the last several months.
That's correct.
Do we know why she's leaving?
Well, it's called pickleball. That's why.
For or
But
against?
she, it's it's stressful. That's all I can say.
Welcome aboard.
It's unfortunate that there's certain emails that were sent out in mass has somewhat divided this community. And people are just concerned.
Well, it's too bad it's gone that way.
Yes.
Any
Because I
further
think
discussion? All those in favor, please state aye.
Aye.
Before we move forward, Supervisor John is here. I don't know if you want him to give you an overview of his last field inspection.
Sure. We have the report. I don't think anybody looked at it, but
Yeah, that's the problem. When we get them an hour, when we walk into a meeting and get the report and then have to discuss it.
Typically, I have them on the agenda.
I know, I'm not blaming you. I'm just saying that,
He's here for this meeting because he won't be here for the next meeting, so, he can give you an overview.
sure. How about an overview of how LMP is doing?
Yeah, overall, it's a marked improvement. With working with Chris is a pleasure, actually. There are just a few items that I know that there's some turf updates that we will be getting. In fact, they're out there right now on Laurel Road with a piece of machinery digging quite a large hole in the right of way. I would like to get a date from LMP regarding the completion of palm trimming throughout the community, pretty much going around. Just about every palm's got a little petticoat of dead fronds at the bottom of it, so we are reaching that time when we need to get the palms trimmed. Up at the top, the very first page of page 2, actually, I give a breakdown of the upcoming fertilization events for this month, November, which includes St. Augustine turf and Celebration for Bermuda turf. And I give the quantities and the type of fertilizer so that we can verify the quantities that came in. I would like LMP to revisit, and you can see this on item 27. I'd like LMP to revisit the plantings that they did here in the River Club parking lot. The proposal and the request, which I give you a little snippet of there, it says number 3 right here. That's actually my request for the proposal from the January report. And then I matched that up with the proposal. We did not get, I don't believe we got firefly. What I requested, firefly or firebush, is truly dwarf. It's more of a like, it's very easy to keep at knee height, which is what we'd like to have there in the parking lot islands, just to keep everything low visibility. It doesn't look like that to me. It looks like the standard dwarf firebush, which can easily get very, very large. You can keep it low, but it's a little bit more difficult. So that's item 27 that I listed there. And then on 28, the next page is the sweep by Burnham that I requested to go on the south side of the parking lot to at the removal of the oleander to provide that buffer, the pond, between the parking lot and the pond. The proposal again called for 81 plants. I counted 46, and I also asked for 36-inch centers, and it looks more to be around 48 or more in some areas. And there are some larger gaps too, so I really want them to revisit that and make sure that we did get all the plants or give an adjustment or a credit for the invoice paid. And then 29 is the yellow circle in 29 shows one of those firebush that came in, and clearly that one's dead. So there are gaps also in the firebush, because I would like to have those parking islands as masked as we can get them, just to keep people from walking across. So those are the 3 items that I'd like LMP to revisit in the parking lot here, the recent job that they've done there.
I'm glad to see, I had spoken with Keith about what you brought up, that buffer that was supposed to be put in on that south side of the parking lot. The plants that are out there are tiny.
Yeah.
And the reason for that buffer was just to block off the view of the parking lot for everybody that's down there. And it doesn't look like enough plants were put in. Keith said there was supposed to be more. So if you can get on LNP to take a look at that. Yeah, it really could use a bit more in there and of a reasonable height.
3-gallon, standard 3-gallon full sweep by Burnham would be about 18-inch overall, meaning height and wrap. So lot of those just have 3 or 4 branches with a few leaves on them. And,
Yeah.
Not what I would consider full. I do have a question though for the board or for Keith perhaps. Item 85. We've got now 2 areas of this where trees have shown up like basically underneath the power lines. And item 85 is taken over there just north of Passaro. 2 of those trees are now dead. And I'm just not quite sure whose responsibility it is to replace those under warranty.
Yeah, that's a golf course.
That's the golf course, right?
Okay.
And I'll get with Matt.
Okay.
Unfortunately, Matt's gonna be leaving us at the end of the month, but I'll get with him before he leaves and have him get hold of the people that plant.
Okay. All right. Yeah,
Those were the
that-
plants that were put in from, I'll say from the city, right?
At the city's.
The city's requirement. Right.
So, and through the report, once you do have a chance to glance through it, and I apologize, Rick, again,
That's-
Richard. So, no, I understand, that's frustrating.
Right.
But I won't bother you with the details, but the schedules are, now I'm gonna send them, Chris, my inspection schedule. I will actually be back here just a little bit after Thanksgiving, so to do a follow-up inspection.
Did anybody from LMP ride with you?
I actually had to come down yesterday because we got rained out on Friday.
Yeah.
So.
See, that's another
Yes.
thing that we need to make
In
sure
the
we work
previous
on.
one, yes, they did.
Yeah,
In
great.
fact,
Thank
Brian
you.
Shaw, former field service, so my coworker, he was also with us on that inspection. Annuals, item 43 just shows the tip of the River Club median up here at the roundabout. So I'm not quite sure, I know that when Kareem was here, we kind of tried to stretch out annual rotations as long as we possibly could. So I never could really count on like 4 3-month rotations. So, but there's quite a few annuals, and per the contract, they are required to replace any annuals that fail. And I just want to verify that they are getting accurate irrigation and the monthly fertilizers that our spec calls for. So I'm just not sure of the rotation schedule for these pentas. But at the tip of the River Club median,
I had already asked Keith to talk to them about that and the flowers underneath the River Club monument. Of all the pentas, those 2 areas are doing the worst.
They're supposed to, the rotation's supposed to happen in the 1st of December. All right, I guess the,
holiday.
no, the supplier, supply and demand issues is, so 1st of December was gonna be the middle of November was supposed to be the rotation, but the flowers won't be here until the 1st of December. And I think we talked about that.
And you will see a few items throughout the report. I try to make note every time I saw, like, I call them decorative urns. Typically, every village entrance has a high one and a low one. They have for the most part, bougainvillea in them. Some have nothing in them currently. I tried to make a list of, like, the one approaching the guardhouse, for instance, is empty.
Yes, they were just taken out,
Okay.
and we had some drainage issues, and we've overcome that issue, and those will be replaced.
Okay.
And I'd like to ask LMP, but Chris and I have discussed this also. In my opinion, a lot of the village entrances did get redesigned, with the foxtail ferns and the liriope. And in many of those village entrances, like for instance, the one right by the power lines, I can't remember the name of that village. And beyond there's like 3 liriope left and 2 foxtail ferns. And I'm not sure why, but what I try to do is when my contractors come in and we do their landscape install for their recommendations, it's theirs for the duration of their maintenance contract. So in my opinion, I feel those plants should be replaced under warranty there or find more suitable plants.
Right.
Chris did mention though that there was a period of time, and I do agree with this, and I told him that I would bring that up to you, that there was an irrigation issue where the pumping wells were down. I know that we lost some turf because of that. I have a feeling some of these had started going downhill long before that irrigation issue, but I do feel that some of our village entrances need some attention.
John, what about in the FPL easement, they're mowing in maybe 150 feet or 200 feet, and then beyond that, occasionally they mow it. How often do they chop that down?
South of that? Or the,
Yeah, I guess it would be south, yeah.
the area part just south of Pissarro.
Yeah.
That's item actually 88.
Okay.
To me, that should be, I think they should be going down probably approximately twice the depth of that lot, and that's exactly what I state in there. So, I'm sorry, I said 88, 83. And that has been recently cut, but I don't, in my opinion, it didn't look like they were going south far enough.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
And I honestly.
I had told them to go to that first big pole or that,
Yeah.
there. And that's where they went, and that's being mowed every, well, past that, they have a bush hog come in, and that's every quarter. That front part is every week or that they mow that
But
front.
they're about 30 feet shy of that.
Are they? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so quarterly for the rest of it back.
Correct. Yeah, they can get a bush hog from someplace that comes in and mows that.
Okay, thank you.
That's it.
So once LMP replies to the report, we will send the board a copy of their response.
Okay.
We'll include it in the agenda as well.
There's only one proposal in this,
Well done.
and that's sought out on Laurel Road.
Thank you, John.
Thanks, John. Supervisors, the next item on the agenda is the consideration of the appointment of a strategic direction advisory committee.
I guess I'll take that.
Go ahead, Ken.
I'll start by, hopefully everybody got a copy of the committee charter. Andy, I think it was Andy that drafted that, or she sent that to me. I made some minor edits, and I don't know if that's something that has to be approved. I guess that would make sense. But from my perspective, I think this talks about what we're looking for this committee to generally do. So,
Can I make
sure,
ask a couple of questions? So under committee member requirements, bullet 2, where it says must have prior, could we change that to highly recommended? Because you're eliminating maybe some potentially good people. So I'm asking.
yeah, I have no problem with that.
Okay.
Or should, just saying much to should.
Should.
or-
And the second comment I have is, and I like it, I'm used to a mission, vision, value statement. This is just a mission and vision. And so the values are important if we're going to develop a strategic plan. But again, it's,
Getting into the outline, or?
well, all I got was this page, I think.
There's two things. There's a charter that
Okay.
Belinda prepared, and then Ken redlined.
Yeah.
I think Belinda gave everyone the red line and the clean.
That's what I have.
And then there's this process
You should have
outline
it.
that Ken
This is-
prepared.
Okay.
That was another.
I guess I didn't see that part of it.
I put it there for you.
Oh, you put it here today?
Yeah. you-
Oh, okay.
And I emailed them as well, so you
Yes.
should have the red line, the clean
Yeah, I have the
version,
red line.
and then the process outline.
Be this right here.
Okay. All right. So does that speak about values?
I had core values here. It was originally here under,
So for me, a value would be, we respect our community involvement. I mean, that's just a quick pass at it. They usually have just a word or two about what our values are.
it was under general duties, assist the board in creating a mission statement, vision, and core values. And it was deleted.
Well, I changed it to related goals.
Yeah, can change.
Okay, so is it in there, Ken, in a?
It's not.
Okay. Is that something that we should consider? And so you would have your mission, you would have our vision, and then you would have our values.
Or goals?
Well, the goals are certainly going to be part of it. I guess when I looked at values and I looked at the prior statement, I mean, it was kind of a nice to have. I didn't get excited about it, but. I mean, it's something the committee can certainly add.
I'll leave it to you folks.
Yeah, I mean, keep in mind, this is a working document, so
Absolutely.
the committee will most likely want to add things to the charter. We just wanted to start off with something that would be the basis for the committee
Yeah.
to begin with. I'm not sure, Ken, you want to go over the process outline? I think that'll help.
I was going to.
Just,
I don't know.
is there anything in here about full-time, part-time?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
I couldn't find it.
That's under the committee member requirements. It's-
Member requirements, got it, okay, yep,
Yeah, majority should be full-time.
good.
And
Very-
for uniformity's sake, should we be adding
Since I have some
use of the CDD email? Because we added that to all the other charters.
Say that again?
That
Just a general statement that they should use the CDD email.
that they have to use
Sunshine law
their,
thing.
you have to use their CDD email. We've added that to all the other charters quite recently, just for uniformity purposes.
Okay.
And sunshine law, of course.
Yeah.
So,
Well, the sunshine law is there.
yeah, but
uh,
just a specific statement about using the CDD email.
Okay.
I can add it right there.
I would just add it to the same paragraph. the third
Yeah,
paragraph,
same, right at the end of that sentence.
Otherwise, with those two amendments, I move that we accept this committee charter.
I'll second that.
Any further discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Thank you. The other page that went out, hopefully, I put together a process outline, so we would all kind of get an idea of what the expectations are. And I just wanted to make sure that the board was kind of in sync with this, as opposed to some different direction. Gave an example of a vision statement, example of a mission statement. Vision statement describes what the community aspires to be, as opposed to a mission statement, which is more, summarizes the purpose, why the community or club exists, what it will do for residents in order to achieve the vision. Gave an example of that. And then the process, I'm hoping what the committee will do is go through a series of management committee resident meetings to get input, but also do a lot of data analytics in terms of gathering resident trends, demographics, so we better understand the makeup of the community, financial performance, what the expectations are, state of the facilities. And this would all be part of meeting with the committees in order to help establish the goals, needs, and priorities, along with, very importantly, key performance indicators for each of the goals and for the CDD over the next 3 to 5 years that are consistent with that mission statement, whatever the mission statement is that gets adopted. And then the output is, as you see below, recommendations for all the various committees, the community at whole, the governance of the community, and management goals. So that's how I see it. I don't know if the board sees it as that broad. I just want to make sure that we're together before we go down the path.
I don't have a problem. What do you envision for the life of this committee?
Maybe 4 months. I'm going to ask the committee if they'd be willing to meet twice a month, because I think there's going to be an awful lot of work, an awful lot of information gathering, and clearly involvement by all the existing committees.
Sure.
You know, meet with them, which is going to take time.
Okay.
But it probably, I don't know, 4 is even optimistic.
4 to 6?
Okay.
Yeah. The wing of the hospital will be done.
Well, we're not setting a date completed by on this. This is
No.
gonna move along, get its job done, and
It's going to be a living document.
Okay, okay, I think that's good.
Do you have the copies from the previous one that was done that some of us had never seen before?
I saw it.
Can you set a target date to be complete?
I mean, we don't even have a committee yet,
Well,
so,
well, you said 4 months, maybe.
well, because I can just picture several months of information gathering and then just synthesizing, writing a report. It's gonna be a while, so 6 months may be more likely.
Okay, and you're getting into the holiday season.
Holiday
From the
season.
get-go, so.
Okay.
Okay.
Well, enough Christmas cheer and we'll get through it
Yeah.
faster.
And again, I would just ask the committee to consider the value issue as you
Yes.
do your work. I like it.
Thank you.
Good job.
So then, I was very pleased that we got letters of intent or resumes from 13 candidates, residents, which I thought was great. When we first talked, last meeting, I think, we talked about 3 to 5 members. I think it's more 5 to 7. I took the time to contact each of the 13 residents. There was one who did not return the call over several days, so I just assumed they lost interest. And I went through a series of questions with each of them to get an idea of how long they've lived here, kind of what the interests were, and if they've been on other committees or what service to the community might have been, just to get a little background. Their background in this type of work, strategic planning, goal setting, and the like, and all the candidates had very good backgrounds that way. And then just some of their comments or observations about what they might see as as challenges and goals for the coming several years. It was difficult for me to vet that, but I tried to get a crossover of residents who've only been here a few years, residents who've been here for almost from the beginning. I looked at, I tried to get a cross-section of neighborhoods and a cross-section of experience and backgrounds from different business and professional careers. So with that, I came up with a list of, if the board thinks there should only be 5 members, these would be the 5 I would pick or recommend. And if it's 7, and I think it should be 7 because there's going to be a lot of work for this committee.
I think it's your choice.
Good, thank you.
You know, I was the one that said initially, because of quorum reasons, 5 is easier, then you only need 3, you know. 7, you have to have 4. But you're the liaison to the committee. My opinion is it's your call on how many you want to have on this.
I recommend 7.
I'll second.
I don't know, do we have to vote on it?
Trying to move along.
Well, you can vote because there are 7 names here.
Yes, that's fine.
The ownership ranges from 2 to 17 years, various neighborhoods are represented and backgrounds. I don't know for the record if I should just read them all or.
You can read their names of who, you can also put it in a form of a motion as to appoint them at the same time, so that way we can.
Okay.
Yeah, I
kill two
recommend
birds with
appointment
one.
of,
I recommend the appointment of the following 7 residents to the Strategic Development Advisory Committee, whatever we want to call it. In no particular order, Ed Whalen, Joe Pizarnik, Joe Brown, Rich Gutero, Joe Polzak, Julie Shade, and Jerry Lewis, who turns out not to be very funny.
I think he's funny too. I know him.
Okay, that'd be good.
Second.
Thank you.
Any further discussion?
I'm
Pizarnik
glad
and
to see.
Polaric, I don't know.
I know.
I'm glad to see so many new names.
Yeah.
Yes.
Because that was certainly a consideration.
Yep.
Some people who have never served on a committee before. Now we have a former Venice City Council vice mayor.
Yeah.
Well, still is up until the 16th of November. I think it's great. It's great that Rich has stepped up. And you've got a variety of experience here. I think you did a good job.
Thank you. Very good.
Call the vote.
All those in favor, please state aye.
Aye.
So you'll need to set the date for the first committee meeting. Once their emails are established, we will send you a list of the committee members' emails. But you can also send to their personal in the interim so that you can communicate with them on a date. We need a 10-day window to run the advertisement. So you have to keep that in mind because the paper is very, very difficult when it comes to timelines.
Yeah.
So we do need a 10-day window. And you also need to communicate with Denise, just to check availability here at the club for a location.
Yeah, well,
And I'm going to ask to get a copy of those emails and the dates of the meeting so that I can include it in the newsletter.
Once the committee has its first meeting, you'll have to establish a meeting schedule.
Right.
So, once we have the meeting schedule, we can advertise the entire meeting schedule for the committee as well.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, moving forward. We're gonna move on to staff reports. Andy, do you have anything to report?
Just to let the board members know that we're full speed ahead on the refi. Bond council circulated documents at the end of last week. And the assessment methodology was also circulated at the end of last week. So fully expecting that we'll have a couple of resolutions ready for you for pre-closing on the 22nd. They're looking at the final closing because of, we know with the advanced refunding and such, take place February 1st, I believe.
I did ask Bill to modify the assessment methodology charts to show the savings.
Yep.
Because initially they weren't showing, so he's tweaked the charts. So he resent everything to everybody for review.
Yep.
So once the final report is prepared, which you'll see at the next
It will be
meeting,
at
the charts will show the savings, which will be easier for the residents to understand.
It appears as though the savings are greater than first anticipated.
They are actually. It's the way the charts are laid out, they're trying to make it as simple as possible
Right.
for everybody to understand what the savings will be. So at the bottom, you're gonna see how much each home would save.
Because we've, I mean, you'll see the report, but we've combined, you've got your two separate A1s and your A2s.
I'm curious. This is a good news story.
Yes.
And we don't do enough chat with good news. We dwell in all the other stuff, as evidenced by this morning. Is there an opportunity to have a meeting with our residents to share this information with them so that they hear it factually?
I think that there is, but as we've talked about before, I think we need to finish first, so we know that we've locked in X.
All right, so Rich, when does the newsletter come out?
Well, the November, December is out.
Is that right?
It would be January, February.
Okay, so perhaps maybe at some point, a letter could go, or a message could go out to our residents,
Sure.
just general and saying that we do plan to have a session, please come, something like that?
Well, the assessment methodology and the savings will be presented at the next board meeting.
So the
So what we can probably do is when Keith sends out the email with the agenda, he can add some sort of wording to his email advising the homeowners that the methodology report is going to be reviewed and presented at the meeting, which will outline what the savings will be per home.
Okay, all right. Again, this is a good news. This is good. All right. So at least we have an opportunity here.
That's the only item I have, but I'm glad to answer any questions from anyone.
Any questions? Denise, do you have anything to report?
Yes, I want to give a couple of updates. The leak in the ladies' restroom, the leak has been repaired. We had the people come in that dried out all of the drywall with dehumidifiers and made sure that no mold was going to be able to grow. At the last minute, they decided they weren't going to be doing the sheetrock because it was a little beyond them. So now we're contacting somebody to redo the sheetrock that was damaged. So the ladies' locker room or the ladies' restroom is still closed and they're using the ladies' locker room. We also had that ended up being a pipe leak. We thought it was roof at first. Then over the weekend with the rain, we found a leak here, and I'm sure this one is a roof leak. We're calling roofers in to see what kind of a leak we have.
Where is it? In this room?
It's this corner over here. And we noticed the leak a week or so ago when we had the rain, the same day we had the leak in the ladies' restroom. So we thought, oh, that's an air conditioning issue or something like that. But when it rained and it leaked again, it has to be a roof issue. So we're gonna call Crowther, who did our other repair and was very detailed on that, bring them in and have them look at that before too much damage.
And you've sent the appropriate information to Belinda to consider a possible insurance claim?
We're writing up a report of what happened in the restroom. Don't know if you want this put with that because it did leak the first time the same day that leaked, but they're two different things. One was a roof and one's a pipe.
They have to be separate.
We'll just do the pipe one right now.
We
and
need a
see what-
report, we need photographs, we also need, whatever, service reports the vendors who did the work gave you, invoices, so that we can submit it.
Okay. What is the deductible on that?
2,500.
2,500. So are we gonna still do a claim if it's like 3,000? Because doesn't that sort of affect your price? You don't want the.
Not necessarily.
Well, we've already made claims, so,
Oh, yeah.
yeah, I would think.
Okay,
you'd
so
wanna
it's
move
not gonna
forward.
affect. All right, I'm sure we'll hit our deductible. So he's working on that information to get to you.
I mean, the cost of the dehumidifiers themselves, it's pretty expensive. I'm not sure whether they gave you a bill already, but, and mold, that's another issue too.
Yeah, he told me that the drying all that out and everything was only gonna be $300 to $500. I hope he's right. He said, oh yeah, this is just $300 to $500 because they came out several times. So I was surprised at that because I was thinking 1,200 or more just on that stuff. So we'll see when he gets that to me. Also, I don't know if you remember several years ago, we had the blueprints put on thumb drive. We were cleaning out some things and at the bottom of this box of mismatch equipment, I found another 150 blueprints. So I'm having those put on a thumb drive and they'll be stored, the thumb drive will be stored in the safe, they'll be put in our back office, and then the hard copy will be in my office.
Blueprints of what?
Blueprints of the building. And we actually found some for the trail out here. I haven't gone through all of them, I just took them.
Okay.
I don't know if it's the whole community or just the River Club. Like I said, there's hundreds.
Is there irrigation blueprint?
I know, that's something we
Yeah.
have to look.
And shouldn't those trail ones be given to the POA?
We can, once I put them on, I can give them the hard copy once I put it on the thumb drive.
Sure.
We want that, so that's being done,
In a spirit of cooperation.
yes. And then I also have an announcement, to make. Charlie, our tennis pro, has accepted another position at a new golf community, and he will be leaving us by the end of the week. We've accepted the resignation, and Vesta has already begun the recruiting process for a new tennis pro, and we just wish him all the best.
On behalf of the supervisors, we certainly wish Charlie the best for his 18 years or so of service here.
Thank you. And that's it. Any questions? We did have the, where I was wondering if the board would be kind enough to give me their thoughts on the signature that Vesta would like us to do. I gave each of you a piece of paper and it shows my current signature is at the bottom. The Vesta signature is at the top. Vesta's communities all use their logos on their email signatures. And so they're asking us to do the same, switching out from Venetian to Vesta.
You're talking about going with the one on top, the one on the bottom is what currently is used?
Yes.
And going with the one on top where, right under General Manager, Venetian Golf and River Club.
It has the Vesta logo, it has the Vesta website, and then there's a confidentiality notice that all their emails have. This also will follow, I'm not sure when, not immediately, but follow with employees going to Vesta uniforms. We're going to do a phase on that.
Would it still say Venetian River Club on those uniforms? My suggestion would be that certainly if it's Vesta Property Services, but that, because nobody's going to know what that means, I would like to see something pertaining to the Venetian Golf and River Club or Venetian River Club within that logo. If that would be my suggestion.
Your email's not changing, right?
Right now,
Taking it off.
my email address would stay at DenisePayton@VenetianRiverClub.com, but I believe all the other emails do, it would be dpayton@VestaPropertyServices.com. We've not discussed that
Because we
yet.
need to be able to grab those emails if there's a public records request.
Yeah.
That's something that we need to be able to have access to pretty readily.
Changing the emails, I think, would be extremely difficult. Right now, just because everybody knows the emails that we've got, they've been out there for years.
Well, we could send a blast out to the community to advise them of that. But I think Andy's concern and Belinda's concern about having access to all that information is a biggie.
Right. And right now, I actually have both email addresses, so we could keep them both, and I could just, use the Vesta Property Services gradually more and more to where things switched over, but not delete my River Club one.
As long as we have a way to get your Vesta emails if they're requested.
So we're taking off your email at Venetian River Club and.
Well, right now, that's
and the
gonna stay
website?
right now. The website, I haven't talked to Vesta about that. I would like to keep the website above the Vesta Property Services one, because people need to click on that to get our reservations and
Well, yeah.
stuff, and I think they're.
I mean, to residents,
be-
where the.
Yeah, they
Venetian
would be
River-
amenable to putting that on there. Most managers would have just their name, general manager, and then it would say Vesta. But I've talked with them and they'll allow me to keep Venetian River Club under my name. So I had something with that, but, to allay some of the confusion, because if somebody's looking to come to the community, they're gonna look for a billboard that says Vesta. And, there would be, so they said I could keep general manager of Venetian.
We could change all of ours to Rosetta.
So I want to echo what you said. I'm uncomfortable with our staff having a logo that says Vesta on it. I mean,
Most of the residents have no idea what that means.
Well,
So it can say Vesta, but it should also say, in my opinion, it should
Right,
say.
yeah, I mean, I think our residents consider this as our club, their club, and it's known as the Venetian Golf and River Club. So to give them a logo at Vesta,
They used to have icons.
I know I had somebody call me once when they had icon hats on out at the pool, who, that didn't have a clue.
Yeah, and we were asked not to wear them.
well, I mean, you've got a logo shirt on, it looks nice. I mean, we're proud of what we have here. We're not promoting Vesta, we're promoting. our
Who's
club.
pushing this, Vesta or you?
Vesta's policy is that they have the signatures as.
I don't care about this,
Yeah.
to be honest with you. I shouldn't say that. This is not as important as what Steve is bringing up. That's visual. That's what our residents see. I think we need to, I strongly agree.
So what do we have to do, Denise? Does our chair have to have a conversation with somebody?
Well, just,
Well, Rudy's here.
Yeah.
Rudy's here.
Oh, thank you.
just.
Somebody wake up Rudy.
We are not, this is not something that we have a conflict with.
Okay.
So, we have trying to align our associates with our organization. And one of the things that you do is you make sure they're branded appropriately. but it can also include the Venetian River Club.
Wait, I watched Yellowstone. Don't talk about branding.
So it's not a conflict for us. I mean, you guys, if you choose to continue your existing practices, that's fine.
Right.
I think Roy mentioned that we wanted to make sure that there's a connection, a relationship.
For sure.
Link between the employer and the associates. I think everybody agrees with that.
Sure.
So if there's a way that that can be accomplished, we're open to those suggestions. If it's a hard, fast no, that's the determination, and we move forward.
Well, I would like to see, as I mentioned initially, Venetian Golf and River Club, someplace in the logo, and if it says Vested Property Services or something like that, if we could get a look at what that might be, then I think the board could take a look at it.
Yeah. Why does it always have to say golf and river club when, you know, the golf is totally
No, it doesn't.
separate now.
That's a
I mean,
good
even
point.
more so than ever.
Yeah,
What is
that's a good point.
I mean,
We should change the name.
The important thing is the Venetian River.
River Club, exactly.
That's what
Yes,
we're
that's
all-
what,
Venetian
that's
River
what we
Club.
want to
That's what we're
go.
all
Yes, I agree.
bending for.
And I
No,
think
no
years
offense to the
ago,
golf
they
course or
moved-
its members.
We have a logo with Venetian River Club where we started pulling back from golf and, because the community is
Yeah.
Venetian Golf and River Club, but the golf club still uses it, but their
Yes,
word
that-
golf
well,
is
Is
There's
fine.
there
Richard's
any
right there.
trademark, is
It's
there
right
any
there.
trademark
Yes.
issue or anything?
We'll
It's
see
right
what-
there on her logo.
Yeah, so we've switched over
No,
several
no,
years
we-
back,
Yeah, exclude
probably
them.
when.
Yeah.
it
This,
turned
this,
over.
as Steve just pointed out, this right here would be perfect.
Yeah.
Venetian River Club, boom. Buy Vesta if you want to say or something, I don't care, but,
Yeah.
let's
Well, that
get
is
the River
question,
Club.
though, is what is the trademark?
Yeah, that's my
That's what we
question.
need to look at.
We need to register our name, probably.
Do we have anything registered as just Venetian River Club? Or is it Venetian Golf and River Club, or do we now?
I have no idea.
Sounds like a job for the Lord.
I've never thought of that.
I would
Okay.
suspect.
Yeah, it's Golf and River Club.
Because-
Officially, the
because-
community and-
We don't know what lies in the future with the golf club, okay? So,
I'm
That's
gonna look
very
at
true.
what trademark
we should
Yeah.
preserve our name and the goodwill that we've gathered.
I'm sorry, Andy, what did you say?
We'll do some research. on
Okay.
Golf and River Club
Okay.
trademarks.
Yeah.
David Jackson from my office.
My
used to be
uniform
a
says golf,
attorney.
Venetian Golf and River Club.
Well, that's the community name.
Yeah. I think, from probably a legal standpoint, it's the Venetian Golf and River Club that's on our documents, but
Let me see what.
We don't have to wear our documents on our shirts.
Let's see what we have
No, not at all.
registered.
Okay,
We can check that, it's not our.
okay.
Any questions for Denise? Denise, don't have
You know what I haven't heard in a long time? I hate to even say it. Tennis fence.
Tennis fence, I contacted
Richard.
Eric the other day, and he said that they're waiting on a few more things. As soon as they come in, he's gonna set up time. I confirmed that it would be in the afternoon, not where it interrupts
Okay.
Venice, and he said, oh, I don't know if we can do that, and I said, well, you actually have no other choice, and so he said he would work
Okay.
with us.
All right,
even if
so
he had to
we'll
do
hear more
Saturday
about it.
afternoon. Yeah.
Thank
So
you.
we're still on
The
hold.
contract's
hoping
done
a
and
couple
ready.
days.
Yeah, that I knew, but
And I only have one question. I briefly mentioned it to Denise, the removal of the benches on the tennis courts.
Yeah, that was, when we did that last week, we contacted, I believe an email went out to the committee saying that we've ordered new benches. The original thing was to try and not make it so crowded, moved it instead of 4 benches to 2 with tables. They prefer the 4. We removed the white benches, which were not really safe. If you sat on the end, they flip. These new ones do not, they're more heavy duty. So they've been on order. I'm hoping they come within a week. I have no idea.
But those benches that allegedly tip have been out there how long?
Oh, they've been out there for years and
For
years and
years.
years. Yeah.
For years, so.
Yeah.
I
So
just-
we've just spread the green ones out to give it a more consistent look. The new benches will be there. There are hooks for the bags and still room to see.
When do you anticipate we'll get?
I can check and see. I didn't really do the ordering, so I don't know what the ETA was on those.
Okay.
Hopefully within a week or 2. I think the original time we ordered, they came in pretty quickly.
I received several complaints about this removal of these benches. So,
Yeah, they were just spread out a little bit more. They'll be back to, we ordered enough to do 4 at each one, we moved them over to 5 and 6.
Any other questions for Denise?
Thank you.
Keith?
I have about a 30-page dissertation I'm gonna give you guys, but I don't think we're gonna go with it so that we can food truck outside. So, I don't have any.
Good.
oh, good.
Well, let's.
I just want to say one thing. The oil spill that happened this past Wednesday,
Yes.
Keith was on top of this in a heartbeat and did everything appropriate, called the city, took video of what was out there, which to capture the incident, and I think that was terrific. Did a great job with that.
What was the cause? May I ask what happened? What?
There was an oil spill on Medici Terrace, starting at house number 122 and continuing down to the cul-de-sac, actually.
From a garbage truck?
Yeah, what
Garbage
caused
truck.
it? What caused it?
Garbage truck. And in
We
front of every.
allegedly a garbage truck. We don't know that.
Our
Allegedly
lawyers,
a
our
garbage
lawyers know about it.
Because it happened on Wednesday, and coincidentally, the spills are in front of the driveways, and which, as we know, the garbage trucks stop in front of those. So
Allegedly.
They don't.
Okay, so my understanding, during this litigation, we made copies of this videos and everything else.
Yeah, Keith
'cause
Keith was on it right
bolsters
away.
Our case.
Yeah, I've got one of them things that you put in the computer to give to Belinda to take back and to download, so.
I went down to see it. He called me right away, and
I even got a sample.
Okay.
he did. That's right. He sopped up a little bit of the fluid, whatever it was, and put it in a used coffee cup so it's secure.
Well, yeah.
You have to preserve it. There's a chain of custody and all this, right? Okay, but.
It's still in my
Okay, Your Honor.
trunk.
Yeah, but,
Good job. Very good
Before-
job.
Before you sit down,
Yes, sir.
we had a little incident on Friday of this past week involving an employee here. And in trying to keep it confidential, I'm not going to talk about a lot of the details, but I think it goes back to the sensitivity of the way we do our business. You know about the incident because you were called. I know about the incident. I did speak to the employee for quite a long time Friday afternoon, and I'm going to continue to follow up on dealing with what transpired. And I know you were pretty upset about the whole thing on Friday.
Yeah, I just don't see, there's a way to talk to somebody, and in this day and time, the way we talk to people and employees, and the way we talk to residents, and the way we get talked back to is, you've got to be really sensitive to it, and it seems like more and more things are, we are on our sleeves, we wear it more and more, and so we've got to be really very careful of how and rightfully so, and she was a little bit upset about it, so.
So, a week and a half ago, we're gonna lighten the mood here. Keith and I attended our 35th year celebration for Rosetta, and it was a Great Gatsby theme. And Keith dressed up as a 1920s golfer. I have a picture if anybody wants to see it. I promised him I wouldn't show his picture. But he should have won best dressed because he actually had every detail, including the golf club for the outfit.
Can you pass it over here so we can see
Belinda, I
it?
heard you were gorgeous at
Yeah,
that. too.
I actually dressed up as well.
Can we see your picture also?
Yeah,
Oh, that's so
we celebrated
Very nice.
also
That was
because
great.
my role within Rosetta is going to change.
Well done. Well done.
I've been promoted to senior district manager.
Wow.
So I will be mentoring some of our district managers and working alongside our management team on some special projects.
You won't be leaving us though, will you?
Yeah.
So-
Oh, good.
Okay.
Yeah.
That was my next
How many
question.
years have you been a Rosetta employee?
5 years, going on 6. So,
Nice.
and I've been your district manager for that long. So
Congratulations.
here's a picture of Keith and I at the event.
We had a lot of fun.
We had fun. It was nice. It was very nice. I mean, it was.
I think it's great that Rosetta does that for their employees.
It was very nice. You know, we had award ceremonies.
Oh, very nice.
Our staff received awards based on years
Terrific.
of service.
Very
I received mine for my 5 years. If you could recall Matt at one
Oh,
point
sure.
was district manager. Matt got his 20-year award.
Wow,
Yeah,
okay.
so that was great. And so did Melissa, which you'll meet Melissa one day, but.
I know it was in Tampa on that Friday. They didn't take you to the Rolling Stones concert.
No, but we did have a lot of fun. It was nice because we hadn't had an event because of COVID. So we hadn't really commingled as coworkers and seen each other in so long. So it was definitely a great event. The energy was fantastic. Everybody was just excited to just be in a room with each other. We haven't done it in over 2 years.
2 years, sure.
Yeah.
Great.
So, yeah, sorry, Keith, I had to show back.
And I looked all over the countryside for a golf club and found one in our back door, right, at this golf course. I called somebody and they said, oh yeah, I got one.
So, the fuel spill, I'm going to take the flash. I will send everything over to Mark, Rich.
Yes,
But if
please.
you receive anything from the city directly to you,
Mhm.
just send it to me
Yes.
for record purposes and I'll copy Mark Hanson on it.
Okay.
I have a spot right in front of my driveway, and they go from my street to Medici. Just
Okay, I
showed
think
up.
we're gonna have to look around and
I don't know what
see.
day it was, but-
I would think they would re-enter settlement, get under those terms. Okay,
Be nice.
yep.
It'll be nice when it's over. So our next meeting is scheduled for Monday, November 22nd at 9:30 a.m. I am going to be presenting a budget amendment based on our year end for September, and I'll give you a financial report at that meeting as well.
And we will put Venito in the roundabout on?
Of course, as well
Okay.
as Tiki. Do
Okay.
you have a question?
Oh, I was curious about what the agenda is going to be.
Yeah, so we definitely have to do a budget
Yeah,
amendment.
that's fine.
So,
30th.
I was hoping we wouldn't have to, but given all of the irrigation invoices and repairs, we are over budget, so we do have to have an amendment in, before, is it 60 days? 60 days after
The end of the.
the end of the fiscal year. So we'll just have it right on time, and then we'll need a resolution for that one.
You want me-
Mhm.
And then, as I said, there'll be 2 resolutions related to the bonds, one from the bond council and one that I'll prepare related to assessment.
Yes, and I think we will need the big room, not a small room, just in case, because he's going to put in his email that the special assessment methodology report is going to be presented. And I'll bring extra copies of the methodology report.
Scott will come.
I'm not sure if it's gonna be Scott or Bill.
Okay, pick one of them.
Yeah, 'cause Scott is out of town for 2 weeks, so I'm not sure if he'll be here.
So that's a holiday week. That's the beginning of it. And I'm going to have to leave the meeting by about noon. So could we front load the important issues?
Well, it's gonna be a limited,
It's just the resolutions for the bonds.
resolution is gonna be.
Should go, the bond side should go.
Okay, I just wanted,
Easy.
you know, I have to leave at noon.
The presentation of the methodology report isn't long. Scott primarily, if it's Scott, he focuses directly
Yeah.
on the tables and the numbers. And he takes questions in case the board has any questions, but it shouldn't take a long time.
Okay.
And there won't be a public hearing because we're not.
We're not holding a public hearing,
No,
so
Thank you.
it shouldn't take that long.
Won't be an issue.
Okay.
I'm sure.
I have a question. I'm going to need to change rules and regs at the next board meeting. Will that take a public hearing?
Depends what you're changing.
What are you saying?
It's those pool rules and
Pool.
regs that have to be updated from the Florida Health Department.
I have Regina taking a look at that, so I'm not sure what the ultimate thing is gonna look like. At first blush, probably not. But I don't know what the final product
Yeah, it's not
will be.
major things. It's just tweaking verbiage from where the health.
This is all the
department-
health department things
Yes,
that you
it's all
had
stuff.
sent
It's
out.
pretty much, we have no other choice. It just has
Okay,
to
so
be
if there's no need,
I don't think that there's gonna be a need, but I don't know until we do that research.
okay,
Okay.
And
Don't put it on the 22nd.
the message I
can
sent
be
about it.
December.
I sent that on
That-
to Regina as well.
Okay.
Denise,
Yeah.
don't put it on the 22nd.
Well, I have to have these posted by January 1.
Well, put it in
on
December, but this,
You gotta order the,
The boards.
Yeah.
But that's
Yeah,
not,
we need-
that's different than the rules and regs. The rules and regs are just matching what I'm having printed up. So I can print those
Right.
those samples that I did.
Well, why do we need to approve something like that if it's state mandatory?
Because we are changing the rules and regs.
Well,
But
you're
if
making
it's
us aware of it.
state's mandatory.
Well, but the signage, we're taking a look at it.
Okay.
I just don't want to give you any thumbs up or thumbs down until I know exactly what it is.
Well, we've
that
got
you're
until
doing.
Friday to get it to Carrie to put on the agenda. So.
Okay.
Belinda, our next meeting after that, we'll have one meeting in December, correct?
Correct.
December, I'll tell you the exact
I
date.
think it's the 11th.
I believe so.
It is
December 13th.
Okay, because at that meeting, I want to at least have something finalized for the TE hut, so that'll give us a time frame.
Maybe in New York. I think we leave at 12. Well, I'll work, we'll see.
Okay. Any questions for me? Supervisor requests or comments? Are there any supervisor requests or comments?
Okay, well, I have a couple. First of all, I want to thank Supervisor Kleinglass for participating in the workshop meeting we had jointly with our various committees, the Facilities Committee, as well as the Racket Sports Committee. It was novel or historic, and we accomplished so much in that meeting. Thank you, as well as your committee members for participating.
Mutual, it was a well-done event.
To the point, within 1 hour, we took care of 2 committees, okay? Thanks to Jill as well as to Pat. Thank you. Number 2, as you know, I hang out at the pool and all, and one gentleman, Alex Stein, said to me, Ernest, we used to have a sign when we approached the Venetian that said, "Welcome home." And it gave everyone such a great feeling. What happened to it? I said, we'll try to get it back up again, okay? When people come down, especially the snowbirds or traveling all these miles, and you turn that road from Laurel and you used to approach the gate and it said, "Welcome home." The feeling you got, I think we need to regenerate that again. And then likewise, when you leave the Venetian, something that said, a sign said, "Thank you for visiting." Thanks to Debbie, if we do both. So I'm requesting maybe consideration be given to that. WCI was the one that had that.
That was a marketing thing with
Yeah, I know.
WCI. And
But
I
it's a
was
good-
part of getting that removed because there were 7 signs from Laurel
But it's
to
still,
Cesaro.
we could still say welcome home. Okay, and, okay, and basically, that's all I have.
Any other supervisor requests or
I'm
comments?
fine.
I move we adjourn.
I guess that's not happening.
Second.
Second, McKen? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Meeting adjourned at 12:06 p.m.
Well done. Okay, Richard, what do we have?
I guess my speech can go. Thanks, everybody.